Hello family, I'm Rob and I'm a real alcoholic. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society book study. The name of our group is Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. Let's open with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Serenity Prayer.
God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Last week we're in the chapter The Family Afterward, and we were talking about that you could take a newcomer, usually take one or two directions. They're either going to go for money or they're going to go head over heels in spirituality. Alright? And we were dealing with the financial part last week, and we're going to finish the financial side, and then we're going to go over to the spiritual side. Alright? Now for me, I done been both directions really. But when I first got clean and sober, I didn't chase after money. I didn't have to do that. I had good jobs. I had a college degree. I was a military officer, and I had large amounts of money at one time. One of my famous ones was when I cashed a check for $40,000. You know, I like to tell that one. 3 weeks later, I was broke. And all I did was drink and drug. That's all I did. 3 weeks, it was over. And it was $40,000 in cash. And to this day, I don't really know if they gave me $40,000 because I never counted the money. I just went to spending the money. So looking back, they could have gave me 20. You know, I don't know. Because I never counted. It never crossed my mind to sit down and count the money. I was too busy spending the money. Alright? And so when I got to here, I was beat down to submission. I was stupid. It baffles me, beyond my mental control, how people can continuously do that over and over and over and over. But I do know that there's a solution. You don't have to keep doing that over and over and over and over. You don't have to keep relapsing over and over and over and over unless that's what your thing is. And I do know, I'm not naive. You know, the homeless condition is real. When I was using, you know, I got 22 years clean. But prior to that, there were some people that were homeless with me that's still homeless today. So homelessness is real. I just don't choose to live like that. You know, but there's some people that's still homeless today. They still alive. I go by the corner. You know, they don't got old, but they're still homeless. Still got on the same tennis shoes they had on 22 years ago. Ain't nothing changed. You know, Peach and Pine up there got the same people that been in there 22 years ago. You know. So my focus is on recovery. It's not on homelessness per se. You know, if you want to get clean and sober and you got a desire to live our way of life, I'm down with you. But you know, it's kind of like the scripture said, why are you always worried about the poor? They always going to be there. Homeless always going to be there. So let's save lives for people who have a desire to have their life changed. That's what we're here. We're not here to promote homelessness. I'm not. But I will promote recovery in the 12 steps, that you don't have to live in that kind of condition. The book say the fastest way to get there from recovery to return back to that is chase after money first. Put that before your recovery, and guess what? You are on the wrong track. You're on the wrong side. Alright? So with that being said, we're still into the money side. And they're talking about the family. When father comes back into the family, he's spending all his time and attention trying to regain financial status, to regain the financial suffering that they had while he was using his alcohol. And if you ever studied Dr. Silkworth and the 100 men and women that wrote the book, they were very professional people. A lot of them were rich. Dr. Silkworth, with the patients that he had, excuse me, were millionaires. All sheiks. They were rich. Now, I'm pretty sure the money that they lost was a lot. And they were trying to regain it. But it baffled me, us that never had no money, why are we trying to get some money? That's insane. You ain't never had nothing but a job. Now all of a sudden, $10 is more important than your life. I don't understand it. It ain't like I was no millionaire. You know what I'm trying to say? And I lost 4 castles. You know what I'm trying to say? All them big fancy cars and Mercedes Benz and a dealership. You know, 300 and 400 employees and my big IT company is gone. No, none of that. A measly $10, $50 job or a truck driver or something like that. Why are you chasing money? The lotto people tell you that. The people who win the lottery go broke in a few years, or suffer with depression, or they get divorces, or they go gambling for more money. So why are we searching for money? $10 to $50 or $45 or $35, that don't make no sense. The everyday people I see shouldn't even be thinking about a dollar bill. Because it would never existed before. What you think gonna make it exist now? You're not rich. You're a long way from it. If you got a house note with a mortgage, poor. If you got a car note and you got to pay it in a monthly note, poor. Yeah. If you got a utility bill, a gas bill, a water bill, poor. Poor. You got to cut your own grass, poor. The list is all going on and on and on. And I'm in that category too. Ain't nothing rich about that. You got 3-bedroom house, poor. That's it. Unless your 3-bedroom is your, what you call them, vacation home in Florida Keys. You know what I'm trying to say? On the island of Bahamas. But the average Joe Blow, we need to stick on the spirituality side where we can get some richness. Don't chase out no dollar bill. It don't make sense. That's just my little 2 cents. And I hope it helps a lot of people, because a lot of people be searching for something that they never had. Alright, so we're going to start tonight where it says on page 127, the head of the house ought to remember. I'm going to start there tonight. Alright, Paul.
The head of the house ought to remember that he is mainly to blame for what befell his home. He can scarcely square the account in his lifetime, but he must see the danger of over-concentration on financial success. Although financial recovery is on the way for many of us, we found we could not place money first. For us, material well-being always follows spiritual progress. It never preceded.
All right. This is going back to the father. They said the head of the house in this text. The head of the house ought to remember that he is mainly to blame for what befell his home. When I was the head of the house in my house, right, and when I start using, drinking and drugging and whatever I'm doing, the financial money or support that I was supposed to put into my home to keep it afloat, to keep everything manageable, I was taking that finances and running out, being selfish and doing what I wanted to do with it. And as a result, everybody suffered in there. You know, it's a bad feeling when you are spending money outside of your household and you're not paying the bills, and the bill collectors, not only are they calling the house, they're calling your job too. You know, everywhere you go, they seem to be calling. So that kind of suffering and the embarrassment and the shame that they bring onto the family, They saying that we are the ones who set that ball rolling. We the ones that made that happen. The head of the house did that. And they said we ought to always remember. And that means the other family had to suffer because of my addiction. They had to suffer because of me. Alright? Then it says that he can scarcely square the account in his lifetime. If I was going to try to make financial amends to all my family that I hurt, I probably couldn't even do it in a lifetime. I cannot replace all the shame and the embarrassment that they went through. You know, there was a story about a guy who owned a car dealership in the book.
Yeah.
Through his drinking, he ended to work for the car dealership that he once owned. All right, now leave him out the picture. How do you think his wife and children felt about that?
Yeah.
They go, and women is a little bit more, you know, attacker than a man. You know, I was like, okay, well, you know, everything cool. But can you imagine a wife going to the PTA meeting?
Yeah.
And some other wife, you see the house wife, y'all know what time it is. And the other house wife drive up in a new car, and she come up to the lady and say, how you like my new car? Oh, I bought it at y'all. I'm sorry, that wasn't y'all. The one y'all used to own. I bought the car there from the new owner. That's what they do. But the embarrassment and the shame that the family put on, you ain't gonna be able to wipe that way because you got a little money. That was something that stuck to them. That's energy, negative energy that just stuck. Now, kids are worse than them. Can you imagine being in 1st grade or 2nd grade or junior high?
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Junior high.
Yeah.
And you own a car dealership, now your daddy don't own it, and he work for Buddy Daddy, and you got to go to junior high school, you might as well transfer to another school. That's horrible. They're going to ride you. They're going to ride you. So that kind of stuff happens all the time with our drinking. We put our family through that. It ain't about the money. So what we try to do, and I never seen it really work either. In my 22 years, I never seen a real financial recovery that replaces that. You know what I'm saying? I seen us get back a lot of stuff, but it never, you gotta have to work on that. You know, you want to have a family. So, I know I did. I wanted to make everything I could make and replace that, thinking if I can get that car dealership back and put it here, they'll be okay. If I can rebuy this and put it over here, they'll be all right. But there's something about recovery. And I know it's a lifetime, because everything I tried to do with businesses and everything, God had another plan. It didn't work like that. I wanted to replace that Cadillac I lost with another Cadillac. I didn't get a Cadillac till 15 years clean and sober. It never worked like that. He replaced it with Fords. It never really worked. All my plans, everything that I wanted from the beginning, seemed like it never got back over to where I thought it should be. It was a whole new plan came in. So it's a lifetime. But he must see the danger of over-concentration on financial success. Financial success to a newcomer is dangerous.
Yes. Yes.
It's danger. D-A-N-G-E-R. That's what this book says. Danger. When we was talking earlier about the, and I love this thing about that little dog, that was biting on that little boy,
Yeah.
and that cat, from his instinct, feared or instinctively felt and seen that danger. That you know, my little brother, whatever, you know, because they're emotionally attached. When you got an animal, they are emotionally attached. When that cat felt that danger, it went to protect that boy, then it got the dog off, and then hesitated and said, I'm going to make sure you never come back. And shout out while I wasn't again. You'll never come back over here. But that was danger. The point is, it was danger. So
The danger was the part when the little boy was being chewed, his leg was being chewed up by the dog. That's danger. They're saying if we try, every time you're supposed to have somebody in here to hear this, they ain't never here. If you try to chase after financial before spirituality in this program, and you a newcomer, you like that little boy with that dog chewing on the leg with no cat to protect him. There's no cat there. You just getting chewed to pieces. You meat. You know what I'm saying? You being chewed up. There's no cat to come out to save you from that danger. So that's what they're saying right here. It's danger and over concentration on financial success. How do I know? Through experience. When you first start a company, from when I say broke, all I had was $38 to my name when we started this Double Society. Nothing else. A guy did give us a check right here for $5,000 and it bounced. So I'm right back at $38. It bounced before I can get out the bank. Alright? But my desire didn't bounce. So here's the deal. But I had clean time. I'm going to get back to that later. But I started over concentrating on making this thing work. Until one day, I was so out of sync. I was so unbalanced. So wired. You know what I'm trying to say? Somebody would say, hello, good morning. Like, ah! Just blow up. That's how unspiritual I became. I think I told it like last week, but I don't know if I did on camera. I was at home one night with the water bottle. And I was trying to unscrew this cap off this same type bottle. And I didn't have enough strength to do it. And I felt my arm go weak. So I got nervous. And I grabbed this one. I could barely hold this water. And I tried it with this arm and it went weak. I didn't have enough strength to do it. So I went to the hospital the next day and told them that I was weak. They said everything's okay. But I remember what y'all said. You were in charge of your own recovery. You know, you can't let no doctor tell you what to do about recovery. That's what y'all said, you know, like medications and stuff like that. So in my mind, like, wait a minute. I know what happened with me, and I have enough now in me that I can be in charge of me. I don't have to take your word and walk out the door. You know what I'm saying? I'm going back. But I did walk out. Then I turned around when I got to my senses and went back and told them, you know, I made up something. But I said, I had a heart attack. Shouldn't have did that. But anyway, they came with the ambulance and aspirins and the EKG machine and get the whole 9 yards. But to make a long story short, they had said I had a mini stroke. They found a spot on my head, in my brain. Stayed home for a little while, but I reevaluated my position in recovery. I'm not chasing after money no more. So I haven't had experience in over concentrating on financial success. And then when I calmed down, I started my prayer and meditating and everything. So when I went back for the, but you know, all the symptoms had left when I kind of got back in balance. I went back to the hospital for the checkup, and they did all the tests in the MRI and the tube and going in and out the X-ray machine, and they didn't find anything. So the doctor said it might have been the film, but it was all gone. But that was my thing. But here's the difference about being spiritually aware. When you're aware of stuff, your consciousness become aware of it. And God will send in other situations that's on a consciousness vibration so you can learn and grow from it. So then I started talking to other businesses owners that come through here, and I was telling them about my situation, and they start opening up about theirs. See, in recovery, if you put nothing in it, you'll get nothing out of it. That's all they newcomers want to come in here. Don't want to tell about their family histories. They don't want to talk about nothing. They don't want to give nothing in, and they're going to say, why I read it? You put nothing into it. When I started telling these business people about my situation, come to find out one guy had 4 heart attacks doing the same thing, over concentrating on business. Another person had a stroke. Couple people died. Bam! Stroke and heart attack, over concentrating on business. Then I learned that people who, it don't even matter whether you're in recovery or not. It's dangerous for anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who do this, over concentration on finances, find themselves stressed out. All these diseases and stuff, stress. Stress. So it says, although financial recovery is on the way for many of us, we found we could not place money first. You cannot put money first. I said it earlier, for some people, it's insane to even try that. You never had money first anyway. So why are you going to come in? Because this would be a utopia. Recovery should be pleasurable, loving, learn some kindness, some how to make amends, how to be at peace. Learn to love yourself. If you're chasing money, you don't even love yourself. The self that I'm talking about on the inside don't need money to exist. It sits behind money. It has nothing to do with money. What about peace? I see some guys come into our house, they can't even sit on the front porch on a quiet evening, 7, 8 o'clock, the sun is setting, nobody's out there, nice breeze, the squirrels are playing, the wind is blowing, everything peaceful. They got to be on the cell phone, up and down. Can't sit still. Who are you talking to? Restless, irritable, discontented. There's no peace in them. Peace is everywhere but in them. And where we got the house, to walk up to that corner is dangerous. It's dangerous up there. The only peace you have in that neighborhood is on that porch where we at. But guess where they want to go? To the corner. To the corner. They want to go to danger.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. Addicted to it.
Yeah.
The alcohol and drugs is gone, but you're addicted to danger. It's a thrill to go up there and maybe somebody might not knock me upside my head. I can get out there and get back without getting robbed. I love that. Love the danger. Addicted to it. For us, material well-being always followed spiritual progress. It never preceded it. Don't put the cart before the horse. Here's the deal though. I like this part though. Because if you understand the history of AA, this sounds like some Donald Trump stuff. Because that's who was in recovery. Russell Simmons was in recovery. You know what I'm trying to say? They say it right here. The Jay-Z in recovery. He's saying that for us. The us is the 100 men and women, right? Who wrote the book. Who were what? Professional and well-to-do people, most of them. That's how they came up with the anonymity. They didn't want to be known because they had professions. For us, now these are wealthy people, educated people. For us, material well-being always follows spiritual progress. That should be a law. They're saying that we got where we was because we had enough sense to put spirituality first. But we just alcoholic with it. But they understood that if you're doing for others and you got a passion and you want to help someone else, that's when your money come after that. They understood. It never preceded. That's what these people wrote that wrote this book. To me, that's an eye-awakening right there. The people with money telling you that they did not get their money for chasing money. They got their money because they had an ideal or a spiritual thing that they want to help people. And then money comes. Next paragraph. This is deep though, I like it.
Since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show of selfishness and love under his own roof. We know there are difficult wives and families, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so.
Since the home has suffered more than anything else, so we were just talking about the suffering that the wife and the children went through. All right, emotional suffering, you know, shame, guilt, embarrassment, all those lower emotions that vibrate real low. Fear. How about fear? Fear of not knowing, you know, when they're going to put the thing on the door saying you got to move. Fear of the only car you got left that you have to use to take the kid back and forth to school to get to your job because the husband is drunk. The fear of when they're going to come and snatch it from the driveway. And the bill collectors, they don't treat the wife with no compassion. When they call her, they ugly.
That's right.
They even put a law out, don't call nobody no more. That's how ugly they were. Congress said that you got to stop. They ugly. So them people went through that. So it says that since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that the man exert himself there. Don't you think it more proper to be trying to fix them emotions than worrying about money? He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. I know it's going to be hard. I got a family, most of us got a family. It's not easy. But love has to be there. And you have to be unselfish. And sometimes unselfishness is just the point of allowing them to be where they are. You don't have to have the last word on everything. You know, show some kind of compassion and understanding where they're coming from. Put yourself in their shoes. You know, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about real recovery here. And that's what I don't understand. If you chasing out the money before you doing real recovery, you cannot survive. It's too much realness that you have to display in families and on the jobs and in your own life. It's too much stuff you have to do to clean up the records of your past within yourself. And if you're chasing out the financial stuff like that, you don't have time. You're going to neglect it. That's what we said last week. You're going to, not only you're going to neglect the family, but you're going to neglect yourself. And when we neglect ourselves, it's over. You right back. Maybe if you have God got mercy on you and some grace or something, you might be able to come back in another treatment. But you might not. This is a life or death game here. We know there are difficult wives and families. It is not one recovering man that took his family through this kind of stuff can probably stand up and say on his way back up through recovery the wife wasn't difficult. That's hard. To me, I salute men who did that. See, I got my wife, I didn't get the opportunity of my first wife to come back and do none of that. By the time I met my second wife, I was already had 2 years clean. And it was still, and still is, difficult. But to what a man who went through with his family like that, and she stuck in there, and he had to come back to the same wife and children and make it through and survive, you got my salute. That's rough. That ain't no joke. And you cannot buy your happiness from your wife with money. You got to be compassionate. You got to be loving. You got to know to shut up when you need to shut up. I'm telling you, I can imagine that. I didn't have to do it, but I can imagine because I had to do that now. And she ain't seen the other Robert. you know, she ain't seen Greg. She only know Robert. She don't know Greg, the Greg that was in the street. She don't know that one. She just know Robert that's in recovery. And I had to do that now, so I can imagine that's a deep, deep thing. So the only way you can survive that is a 12-step. You cannot survive that kind of reconstruction without being a 12-step. I can honestly say that. Because I can't see nobody doing it unless they got spirituality. Does that make sense? I can't see it. You? I cannot see you doing this without no spirituality. There's no way possible you can do this. Repair that damage without some God in you. Because it's beyond human aid. Told you it was deep. We know there are difficult wives and family, but the man who is getting over alcoholism must remember he did much to make them so. Yeah, it's all me. I can't blame them. It's all me. Everything I'm getting now, it's all me. The only thing I can do is I can get stronger with it. Day by day, we all can heal. All right, let's go.
As each member of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to the others, he lays a basis for helpful discussion. These family talks will be constructive if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity, self-justification, or resentful criticism. Little by little, mother and children will see they ask too much, and father will see he gives too little. Giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle.
Wow. As each member of the... No, let me do this again, because this is deep. Let me slow down. I see a couple people in here that I know that went through this, and by their smile, let me know I'm on track. That helps. You know what I'm trying to say? As each member of a resentful family. Now, resentments for an alcoholic is the #1 offender. It kills more alcoholics than anything else. Alright? So now if you done did a 4th step, a good 4th step, and you got past your resentments in a 5th step, quite naturally, you don't want no resentments in you no more. So if I don't want them in me, you know I don't want to give them to nobody else. I don't want nobody else to be resentful either. I don't want resentments around me, period. Because it kills me. But returning to their family, they resentful. They ain't did no step, nothing. Nothing. Alright? They harbor resentments. Really, you tiptoeing in the beginning, I would imagine. As each member, and we ain't talking about just the wife, we talking about all of them. Teenagers, kids, even a little baby. He resentful too. This is that. He was born into it. That's Johnny. Johnny be resentful over that motherfucker right there. Johnny was born into the family. He was resenting that drunk right there. He was 2 years old. He go to school. What's your daddy? I resent him. That's a play. He was born into it. That's the truth, though. Each member, that's every last one of them, of a resentful family begins to see his shortcomings and admits them to others. If you just have patience, this 12-step spirituality thing, if you ain't trying to push it on, it becomes contagious. They start looking at their faults. They start seeing what they might have contributed to this. He lays a basis for helpful discussion. These family talks will be constructive if, that's the key word, if they can be carried on without heated argument, self-pity, self-justification, or resentful criticism. Every last one of those emotions right there is deadly to an alcoholic. Deadly. That's deadly. When we got too much of any one of them, we drink. We drink. So here's the deal. And I mean it with all my heart. If you're not a 12-stepper, it's impossible to be in that situation. Because you don't know how to ward off these type of emotions. You cannot do it. I know people looking at me funny, then you need to do a 4th and 5th step. If you looking at me like, what are you talking about? You ain't here where I'm at. You need to do your 4th and your 5th step, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because you sitting in here and waiting, that's a word? No, buddy, that's a lifestyle. It's not a word. You don't know where I'm coming from? You need to get on board. Because this right here kills us. Am I right? That is what we get free from by working the 12 steps. Little by little, mother and children will see they ask too much. And father will see he gives too little. There's no balance. They asking too much and father's giving too little. It said right here, giving rather than getting will become the become the guiding principle. We're talking about principles here. Now, there's two things about giving and receiving. There's a spiritual way of giving and receiving, and there's a material way of giving and receiving. Let's do the material way first. People say it's better to give than to receive. Now, in the material world, giving and receiving is not the same. If I have $100 and I gave away 50, then I'm going to feel like I just lost 50. I'm operating in a lack of. I lack something. I done gave away $100 and I'm lacking. But I'm $100 short. That's the material way of thinking. So if I give and then I stop giving because I'm not getting. I'm operating from a lack of. In the material world, if you got $1,000 and you go and you give away 800, now you lacking 800. You only got 2. So the quite natural thing is to try to make hustle and get it back up. So in the material world, giving equals lack of, to make you hustle to get some more. So it's a struggle back and forth, and you're operating from a lack of. In the spiritual world, there's no such thing as a lack of. So in a spiritual spiritual world, the more you give, the more you receive. The more love you give, the more love gonna come back to you. Because giving and receiving in the spiritual world is the same. I and the Father are one. There's no separation. If I give recovery, if I give sponsorship, it's going to come back to me. It's unlimited. It's not like the material. If I give $10, you know, I done did it all the time. Every time I went in church, I operated in a lack of. Every time that basket came by, I wasn't thinking of nothing spiritual. If I put this in here, I ain't got it. I'm lacking. Every time I went, tied 10%. What about 2%? Because I'll be lacking if I give you 10%. And I always have to lack up. So if you get a consciousness of a lack of position, guess what your life gonna be? A lacking life. But not in spirituality. Spirituality, the more you help others, the more gonna come to you so you can help more. It's unlimited. So two different things. That's why they say giving rather than getting will become the guiding principle. Because the more you give, the type of stuff we're talking about, love, understanding, recovery, spirituality, the more you give it, the more gonna come to you so you can just continue to give. It's unlimited. It's not like the material world. If you give away your house in the material world to another family, you homeless. You lack of. You give away your car, you operate in a lack of. Now you on the bus. It don't work like that. But in spirituality, the things we're talking about giving away is free. All right, the next one.
Assume, on the other hand, that Father has, at the outset, a stirring spiritual experience. Overnight, as it were, he is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiast. He is unable to focus on anything else. As soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension, then with irritation. There is talk about spiritual matters morning, noon, and night. He may demand that the family find God in a hurry, or exhibit amazing indifference to them, and say he is above worldly considerations. He may tell mother, who has been religious all her life, that she doesn't know what it's all about, and that she had better get his brand of spirituality while there is yet time.
There we go. Assume, on the other hand, now we're going to start. We kind of finished up the financial side. Now we're going to the spiritual side. Okay. Now the financial side, they had a way of breaking it down that giving is the guiding principle, and we're talking about principles being our spiritual principles. Okay. So now we're leading into spirituality, having too much of it. You got going out too much money, financial route, and now too much spirituality route. And they're not talking about spiritual awakening, they're talking about spiritual experience. So it says that, and it's two different things. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Assume, on the other hand, that Father has at the outset a stirring spiritual experience. That means he overnight, everything about him changed, and he become a saint. Everything is spiritual in nature. Alright? Overnight, as it were, is a different man. Spiritual experience. You can go into the appendices and read it. There's two different things. Spiritual awakenings, that's slowly. Spiritual experiences are quickly. Alright? So it says overnight. Bam! He got it overnight. As it were, is a different man. He becomes a religious enthusiast. He is unable to focus on anything else. As soon as his sobriety began to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension, alarmed and kind of like leery, understanding, and with irritation, anger. Now, I've been this route too. I've been there too. It wasn't, when I first started my recovery journey, all I went was to meetings, just going to meetings. Now, I heard about the book study, and I always had this, I don't know, like, inquiring mind about the book study. Because the book study seemed to be, the people in the book study seem to be a little cliquish. You know what I'm saying? When you just go in a meeting and everybody talking about their book study, and you're not in the book study, you be a little apprehensive about trying to get in there. Because they hang together tough. And I can understand now after I got in one why they do. Because they bond. So, people will always talk about the book study, but it takes some courage to walk up in one. You know what I'm trying to say? Went back when I was. This, you had to almost, be hoodwinked and caper-toed to get in there. You pledging for fraternity or sorority. But they would lock the door. They want to get. They don't book study. They got 10, 15 people. They lock the door. Ain't nobody coming in until we started over. So, but when I got into a book study, I became a big book. What you call him? Thumper. Guru. I was Bill Bob Jr. Because it just made so much sense. It made so much sense. I was studying the book. Now I finally got in. First of all, I got in a group. Yeah. Just to get in the group, put you on another spiritual level. I don't care if you open the book or not. See, some of y'all take the book study for granted. Right. But back in the day, that was a prestigious move to get in one. Yeah. They didn't let anybody in there. They wasn't playing no games either. If you didn't come, miss 2 or 3 meetings, you out. It ain't like, well, here, you just come and go as you please. They closed the door. And they were serious. And they'll call and beat you down if you don't come back. They were serious. So, to get in one was cool. That was cool. That put me on another level. Then I started studying. I was like Ray Charles. I like Ray Charles. Ray Charles, when he as a little kid, when he got blind, he went to the school, he started figuring out everything, but life didn't click in his blindness. It didn't make no sense to him. He said this in his book. I read his book. It made no sense. until he got to the keys at the piano. And when he started playing the piano, when he started learning to play the piano, life became sense. It made sense to him. Water makes sense on the computer, on the keyboards. Heat, air, it all came to him. He was understanding life through the keyboard. I had no conception about life, period, at all. Everything I thought was supposed to work failed. Nothing about my life made no sense. I had no spirituality. I had no principles. I had nothing. But when I got in that book here, and I hit them keys, them 12 steps, life made sense. It's finally made sense. I finally connected to life. Now I'm telling you, if you ain't in here and it ain't made no sense, then you might not be connected to life. Because there is a possibility that you're not. This makes sense. It makes sense. It's like Ray talked. And once I started playing these 12 steps with my fingers, life became real. That's just me. So, but once it became real, I became the king of it. I put down, if you wasn't on such a step, I didn't talk to you. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I go to meetings and I find me the stepper and I have conversations with them. Everybody else didn't make no sense to me. I would put them down. I told you I go there and when I was so bad, the big book stuff was so bad, the jury, that people wouldn't call for me to shout. I be seeing them, they look dead in my eye. And I be raising my hand. They look dead at me and kick everybody else. They didn't want to talk to me. I was just blowing them up. Because to me, what they were saying was wrong. If they just would have read this page, they would have knew what we talking about. So I didn't know how to transfer the information. You know what I'm trying to say? I was just blowing them up. You know, and that wasn't cool. And then my sponsor told me, he said, if you can't do it in love, don't do it at all. Alright, so I had to learn too. And even in my household, all I cared about was step. My wife and my daughters was there, you know, the president's wife down there. All I did was beat them down. Because their way of thinking, their religious thoughts, and this and that didn't make no sense to me. Since it didn't make sense to me, I don't want to hear it in my household. That was me. I carried it to the extreme. So I've been on both ends. He becomes a religious enthusiast. He is unable to focus on anything else. That was me. If it had nothing to do with the 12, it had nothing to do with nothing. As soon as his sobriety begins to be taken as a matter of course, the family may look at their strange new dad with apprehension and then with irritation. They became angry. My family used to be angry with me. They say, you know, and then I used to always tell my story. You ever met a person that always tell their story everywhere they go? My daughters used to get embarrassed. They might, let's say my two daughters are in the car and we're going somewhere. We had a cookout or something like that. And then they say, come on, meet my dad. Then their father come on, you know, their little friend father come on in. And I said, you know, I used to be on alcohol. I was an alcoholic and I was a drug addict. Now I'm working on the 12 step. My daughter say, why you got to tell everybody that? Why you can't say that to the meetings? Everybody don't need to know this. It was embarrassing to them. Yeah. But in my life, I thought I was supposed to tell everybody that. So nobody had no conversation with me unless it was about 12 steps. That's how bad I was. You don't care where I was. I was at the movie stand and I was in there getting popcorn. Somebody say, hello, how you doing? I say, I'm fine and I'm truly blessed, and how are you? What step you on? I'm crazy. I'm just buying popcorn. I was a fanatic. You know? It says that there is talk of spiritual matters morning, noon, and night. That's me. Boy, that's me. And there's some of them in here now. I hear them. He may demand that the family find God in a hurry. Nobody had God but me. Or exhibit amazing indifference to them and say that he is above worldly considerations. I start judging folks. I found myself being very judgmental. Very judgmental. And that's really sick. If you was a very, very critical and judging person, you are really, really sick. You know, in any given day, I might run across 200-300 individuals, you know, and I'm judging everything about them. What color they were, what size they are, what kind of shoes they got on. Look at their eyeglasses. She's holding that Bible. She don't even know nothing about the Bible. You know, I just they talking about God. You don't know no God. You know, all day long. That's just as bad as somebody always chasing money. I'm not working on me. I'm working on them.
Yeah.
I'm working on everything about them. I'm not focused on me at all. Because I got this. You know, me and God equal. Now, Jesus had way more spirituality than me. And then they crucified him because he said they were equal with God. If they crucified him because he was equal with God. All I had was flipped 2 or 3 classes in a 12-step program. I ain't got a chance in hell. The devil got me to believe I'm just as equal on God because I done did a few steps. Everybody else is down. They believe me. I got the spiritual thing. I'm God. Yep. God got a way of showing you ain't God. It said he may tell mother who has been religious all her life that she doesn't know what it's all about. We all do that. Once we start doing these 12 steps, we start attacking other people's religious beliefs. I went so far. See, my mother is religious. She's been to church all her life. And I think I'm going to stop right here. I've been to church all her life. And she done everything that she believed that we right. So when she died, she don't go to hell. That's the way she believed. I come in here and I done did everything that you can do to get in hell. I done did. So if you done everything you can to get to hell, then that means you have experienced hell right here on earth. Right. I don't care how much spirituality you think you got. If you geeking in them streets, that's hell. If you praying to God, he's 100 miles from you. Because that's hell to me. So I done did everything I can to get to hell. So my mother was talking about this, and I learned about spirituality and everything. I went as far as tell my mother, you wrong, because heaven and hell right here on earth. I'm sure how I was. This is kind of bad now when I look back at it. I took my mother to the worst shelter you can find in Atlanta. I ain't gonna call it name because it's all over the world. And I said, you think hell is somewhere else? I'm gonna walk you through hell. And I dragged her through that stinking stench. You know what I'm talking about? It stinks so bad you leave the next day it's still in your clothes. I took my mother through that and said, now this is hell. Right? I'm trying to prove a point because I'm spiritual now. This is hell. I've been here. So when we got out, she said, wow, that is hell. Now she saw it all. All of it. The stench and everything. The people in the corner, you know what I'm talking about? She saw it all. How they eat, how they sleep, the little ugly TV, she saw it all. She got outside. I'm thinking that, oh, I got this now. She got outside. She said, you know what? Now I understand. That's why I do what I do, so I don't have to die and go to hell. I thought she was going to say, hell right here. She said, no, that's right, that's hell. That's why I'm continue the path I'm on. That I don't have to die and end up in there with you. Well, it didn't work. Cause I thought she was going to say, well, you right. You know, I wanted some self-gratification right there. I wasn't right about nothing. She said that even made me more strong in my religion. Alright. So I didn't change her belief in no form of fashion. It made it stronger for her. Alright? He may tell mother who has been religious all her life that she doesn't know what it's all about. That's what I was trying to do. And that she better get his brand of spirituality where there is yet time. We get so religious, I'm going to start there. We get so spiritually inclined that we're telling people, we go to preaching. Time is running out on you, but change your religious belief and get mine. Now I done come out of that shelter, you know what I'm saying? I ain't been out for 6 months. And I'm telling them, yo, you better get my form of spirituality or you through. That's insane. But we go through extremes like that. That's what the ego does with us. There's no humility. I don't think y'all fuck with me.